that this guy could get himself that close to President Trump, Ryan Routh. This is where he was. If he had evaded being spotted for another, 45 seconds, he probably could have killed the President of the United States. How the hell did this happen? At least he was found guilty. We're joined by our panel, and I'd like to start with John Bachman, who I think lives basically down the block from the scene of the crime. You've been there a bunch of times, John. John is the host of John Bachman Now, 12 to 2 on Newsmax 2, a fantastic program. John, I am still baffled that he was able to pull this off. What are your thoughts, please?
I share the same thoughts that you do, Greg, and especially since this was not the first assassination attempt on President Trump in a very short period of time. I remember hearing about this, that it had taken place, and I just could not believe that he was able to get that close to President Trump. And what we learned over the course of the trial and the investigation is that he was surveilling President Trump's golf course. He was taking notes on President Trump's trips back and forth between the golf course and Mar-a-Lago. It's about a 5 or 6 minute drive across the bridge from Palm Beach over to West Palm Beach. And, you know, you think about at that time, the questions we had about the Secret Service and their ability to keep President Trump safe. The only reason he was caught and prevented from shooting is that one of the Secret Service agents saw the flash of his barrel in the sunlight and was able to take a shot. He missed Ryan Routh, and Ryan Routh then got away, which raises a whole other set of questions, how he was able to get that close to President Trump on his golf course and then also get away for a brief period of time. There was a manhunt to track him down. So much of that, I think, would have been revealed to us if the trial weren't so unique. The other thing, Greg, that I can't really understand, I mean, this is a trial, an attempted murder trial on a president, the former president. And it didn't get a lot of media coverage either, which is bizarre considering how instrumental this was in revealing the shortcomings of the Secret Service.
Yeah, totally. You know, I said he pulled it off. I mean, he didn't pull it off, but he pulled it off. He got really close, and that's kind of pulling it off. Hey, do me a favor, Charles Marino, former Secret Service agent, anything you'd like to add about the situation in Miami? But do me a favor, also take a look at the escalator just turning off on President Trump at the United Nations. Obviously a diss, a deliberate diss. We know that because people were planning it on Sunday. Is there any kind of safety issue here as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the last thing you want the president to do is stop moving, and especially when he's with the First Lady. That's a vulnerable situation, regardless of how secure you may think the United Nations is. So the Secret Service is going to have to come up with answers. But as far as what John was talking about, look, he's exactly right. We saw it in Butler. We saw it at the golf course. What happened should never have happened. And under the previous leadership of the Secret Service, they were not appropriately staffing, at the time, the former president's protective detail to match the threat level. They weren't providing them the programs, the resources that they needed to adequately protect President Trump.
And am I right? If you look at this thing, there's no way a sitting president, they always said a sitting president, they were treating him like a sitting president, but they weren't, because the sitting president couldn't be at hole 6 with vehicular traffic, you know, basically on the other side of a thin fence, right?
Yeah, you would have seen a vehicle shut down on the adjacent street. You would have seen advanced screening with canines and manpower to make sure that fence line was cleared out and then posted with agents to remain secure. So, yeah, you just didn't see it.
J-Town, I'd like you to comment on this, but also, if you don't mind, the Jimmy Kimmel situation. Everybody acted like democracy was crashing down all around us because Kimmel was off for 2 days. 2 days! A long weekend, maybe 3, whatever. He's back tonight. I never really watched the show, but it is laughable that this was some sort of First Amendment issue, in my opinion. Yours?
No, this was a financial decision made by Disney and ABC. Still is a financial decision for Sinclair and others that, you know, Kimmel was hemorrhaging money. Nobody's watching. Turns out when you offend half of the country, it's not a great business model. And so, you know, we'll see how long he's able to stay on the air and what else he says that's offensive. It's in their DNA. They can't help it. It's not like this was scripted and it was just a bad script. This is from the guts. And that's why I don't think that, I mean, they might be able to choke it down for a couple of weeks, but eventually it's just going to come out again. And let me just say one more thing about Ryan Routh. DOJ, I spent most of my adult life as a prosecutor, violent crimes prosecutor, and I can tell you some of the hardest cases are when you have a pro se defendant representing themselves. I think that DOJ did a great job meticulously going through the evidence. They had, 38 witnesses, 2 weeks of testimony, hundreds of exhibits. They did a fabulous job ensuring that not only they got a conviction, but it will withstand appeal.
Yeah, what do they say when you represent yourself? You have a fool for a client, right? Isn't that an old lawyer joke? Hey, let's take a look at President Trump's reaction to all this. C03, please.
I'm very appreciative of the justice that was given and the way it was handled by Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche and everybody that it's been, and their team of people. It was really well handled, and it's very important. You can't let things like that happen. Nothing to do with me, but a president or even a person. You can't allow that to happen. And so justice was served, and we'll see what happens.
Hey, he's satisfied. With the DOJ. We haven't seen a lot of that, John. He was frustrated just the other day, especially with Pam Bondi, it looked like. So what's your sense? Is he genuinely happy, or is he really, frustrated with those guys over there? I can't tell.
I can't tell either. I mean, publicly, I think he's doing the right thing and standing behind them, but we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. And we all got a sneak peek of that Truth Social post that may have been supposed to be a direct message towards Pam Bondi. There does seem to be some frustration about the lack of prosecutions and the people that came after him in his case. But he's standing behind his people publicly, which is probably the best thing, so you don't create those stories about division within the DOJ. But we don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
That makes a lot of sense. It was a DM. He made an Anthony Weiner mistake, although he's no Anthony Weiner. He wanted to send it to one person. He sent it to everybody else. That's easier to do than some might think. You guys are fantastic. Sorry for the limited time. J-Town, thank you, sir. Chris Marino and John Bachman. You got to check them out, 12 to 2 on Newsmax 2. Thank you all, and we'll be right back.
Thanks, Greg.